Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk through the civilogistix layers and tabs and custom commands that we have to navigate different layer sets. And we have a lot of custom stuff built in to make your life easier. And I'm just going to walk through all of it and show you how it works. So let's learn. Hey guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to go through some layering systems, talk about layers, how we use them, how they relate to the viewports, the layout spaces, give you some commands to navigate those, and show you some of the documents that will help you understand how everything works. So within the company policy program 1, there's a folder called workflow basics, and we're really going to be looking at these 5 here: title block setup and layers, sheet tab layers, layer basics, and then the pin set colors and layer list. So that's where you can find those documents. The first one I'll show you is this layer basics. Just read through this. This kind of gives you just some general information about layer basics. It's important, so just read through that. I'm going to go ahead and close this one. We won't need any more, but I just wanted to draw attention to it. The primary one we're going to go through is this civilogistix layout and tabs. So our layers have a designation to them. There's a pattern. They all start with C for civil. A, as for the second character, shows up on all sheets. V is existing, so that shows up on sheets that need existing stuff. D is demo, S is site, G is grading, U is utility, E is erosion, and then Z is specialty. And so you can see that here. We have CA, CE, CG, CS. Here's the specialties, CZ. VZ is specialty. That's on the survey layer, so all of our images we put in there. So you have your 2-letter designation, and then you have some more additional descriptive characteristics. Also want to draw attention to some of them have AN1 for annotation, and then some just have improvements, site improvements, like the building, the asphalt, curb and gutter, things like that. So our annotation layers and our improvement layers function separately. So we have up to 5 different site layers, and all 5 of those site layers will all show the improvements, the same buildings, curbs, gutters, striping, things like that. But then the annotation, you can have 5 different types of annotation to show different information. So maybe one site plan is a dimensional plan showing you all the dimensions of the site plan. Maybe another one shows truck turns, and maybe another one shows more emphasis on striping plans. So you can create multiple different plans using the proposed improvements as a base, but then the annotation can be different. And so you'll see that come up with, let me run this command civlay and then F for full to load all the layers. And so you can see that here you have AN1, AN2, AN3, AN4. So those are the 4 grading layers. If we scroll down to the S's for site, you can see AN1, AN2, AN3, AN4. And so that's how those function. Here on the layout tab, it will automatically reference the correct annotation layers when you change this from 301 to 302, 303, 304. Or the site plan is 201, 202, 203, 204. So I want to point out that important distinction. The main command to load all your layers is civlay. I just showed you that. Civlay, and then typically we just hit F for full, and then it loads all of these layers that are on the list. A lot of times you'll want to maybe load that to get a layer, but then you want to get rid of all the stuff that you're not using, so you type purge in, and then you can see the layer list is much shorter again. But then if you need another standard layer, then run civlay, and you can load all the layers again. And feel free to create other layers using this same pattern. And it's important to use this pattern because all of the sheets are set up to show layers based on the pattern. The command that we navigate layers with within model space is called csheet, and there's a quick key for it's CS. So if I go into model space, everything is on right now, but if I type CS, a layer, some information comes up. I can type M for the demo plan because M is capitalized. I can hit S for the site plan. I can type PS for preliminary site. Preliminary site shows the aerial. So if I do CS S for site, there's just the site plan, and then CS PS, that turns the aerial on. And that's because the aerial and the rectangle, the aerial is on the VZ image aerial layer. So make sure that you put that on the correct layer, your aerial, or it won't function correctly. CSG for the grading, CS2 for the second phase erosion, CS1 for the first phase erosion, CS3 for the third phase. So they each have a designation. Now this other sheet, tab sheet names as corresponding layers, tells you how to relate the different site plans to the designation when you type CS, and then it also tells you the tab name. So if you have a tab name that's 205 and then something on the end, it's going to show up, it's going to be the 5S site plan. And so that means the site plan improvements with no annotation, but then it adds in, you know, the base site plan layers, curb, building, striping, things like that. And then it adds in the and 5 annotation layers. So it's important to look through this, understand how it works. It's pretty complex, but our plans are very complex, and some of the plan sets have over 100 sheets. And if you don't learn this, you're just not going to be able to navigate the sheets correctly and understand how they work, and you're going to be at a significant disadvantage for people. So make sure that you look through this and that it makes sense, and ask questions so that you understand it. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of that one. Okay, back to this plan, back to this document. Okay, so we talked about C sheet, and for just turning command layers on and off is a command called selay, but we have a quick key that's ZX. And when you type that command, whatever has brackets around it, that's what it will do. If I type S, because S is capitalized there and there, S, enter, it's going to toggle from selected to rest. So now whatever I choose, it's going to turn those things on or run off. I turn those again, and I can turn a couple more things off, a couple more things off. And then I can go over here, type S, and toggle to rest, and now it's going to turn the rest of the stuff off other than those 3 or 4 things that I just clicked. And now I can turn everything off except for that. And now what's so powerful about this command is I can come off to the side, run it again by right-clicking. If I don't select anything, it backs up one step, backs up another step, backs up another step, backs up another step. So you can see how this will be very powerful when you're converting surveys. So remember that command and get to know it. It works really well. selay. Okay, now coming to the viewport stuff. So the viewports are set up with certain letters, and when these letters are in the viewport, it will automatically make the correct layer show up. So if I do middle button YA to turn all of our layers on, you can see that everything is in here and it's not showing correctly. Well, this command CSVP sets all the viewport layers for the appropriate sheet. And so the way our layers work, when you plot, everything is turned on in model space, but then the paper space viewport filters out the things that we don't want shown so that only the correct things show up on each sheet. So if I type CSVP, it says one civil sheet was found, site was found, because this is the site sheet, and it was restored, and so it fixes the layers. This one is not correct, that one's not correct, that one's not correct. Well, that's actually a detail, so that one doesn't matter. But you can see there's multiple sheets that don't have the layer set up. So I can also run CSVP all, and it'll go through all of the sheets and then fix them all at the same time. F2, See, it shows you all of the ones that it found and that it matched, and so there's a few here that it said, hey, I didn't find a match, so it didn't do anything. Now, sometimes you want to make a custom sheet, and maybe you want to have a different name for some reason, and you want to set up certain layers. Well, you can use the command csvp1, and then it'll give you a list of all the layers, and you just manually choose which one you want to set it up as. So again, if we do csvp1, and I can say that I want to set this up as a grading plan, and now it's set up as a grading plan even though it's on the erosion control sheet. Now if I hit the print button, it's going to fix everything back to the correct layers, and that is because of auto CSVP. This is one of our checks to make sure that the layers don't get messed up in a drawing. So whenever you hit the plot button, the print button, it's going to automatically run CSVP, and it's going to check to make sure that the layers are turned on and off correctly. In order for this to work properly, the setting needs to be to 1. Do not turn it off to 0. Auto CSVP. See, it's 1, so it's on. So watch, when I hit the print button, it's going to fix the layers back again. And so again, to fix all of these, I can type CSVP all, and then it's going to do all the viewports at the same time. Okay, moving on. When you're working in your file name, it's going to have a date there. Every date that you come in, we need to change this to the current date. So when I get out of this drawing, really probably before I should open this up, I should have just changed this 06 to 1/2, so it'll be 12/24. We don't want to have things with real old dates in there, because there ends up being, over time, additional drawings get in there. We really only want to have one AutoCAD file, but there ends up getting more. So if you can be diligent about keeping the current date on there, then that'll be very helpful for everyone. Do not save a new file every day. That will generate tremendous amounts of data that will be uncontrollable. Just simply change the date to the correct date. We only save a different file if we're making a major change in the plans and we're going in a different direction, and we want to preserve the old design that we had. That would be a time when you save a file from yesterday and then start a new file today. But as long as you're continuing to just improve and progress on the engineering document, just work in the same file, just change the date to the current day as you move through the project. All right, the color chart and pin setting. Each of these layers has different pin sets that plot differently. And this is a cheat sheet to show you how those layers plot. We have a number of different factors to help our plans to show up clearly. We can make lines thick or thin, we can make them solid or dashed or different types of dashes, and we can make them white, different shades of gray, or black. So we have 3 different kind of metrics to display information differently, and this shows you about the thickness and the color. So the number that's in there is a percentage of black. So 5 would be 5% black, which means it's 95% white. It's a really light gray. 50 here is 50% gray. 100 is 100% black, 0% white. If there is one number in the cell, that means that your pin set plots that color gray with both our 2 pin sets, and they're called full size 1 and full size 2. It's for a full size plan. We also have some reduced size pin sets for printing smaller plans. But it's going to be the same color gray for both sets. If there's 2 numbers in there, then full size 1 will be 70% black and full size 2 is going to be 35% black. Full size 2 is used on on grading. Full size 2 is used on utility and erosion, and that screens back some of the layers so that erosion and utilities pop out on those plans. Full size 1 is used on site and grading. So that tells you about the colors of the pin set colors. If you click on true color, then it's just going to print whatever true color it is. All of these lines, unless they're specified, are 1/100th of an inch wide. If it has a T next to it, it's going to be extra thin. It's going to be half as thick. If it has an M, it's thick, and that's going to be twice as thick, and then extra thick is 3 times. And that's really reserved for primarily this color here, and then property lines here. Most of the stuff is going to be normal thickness. Your green colors for your annotation is going to be thin. All of these are thin, so if you need just to pick a quick color and you want it to be thin so you can plot hatches or details or text, just pick one of these down here, and we have a few different colors. This one's used more for hatches, like concrete hatches, so it doesn't overpower your drawing. 251 is a special color that prints white, and so we have this color built into a lot of our blocks, and so it kind of whites out anything that the block is in front of. So that's important to remember. If you want to print white for some reason or white something out, use the color 251. Alright, moving on, title block. So the title block it's a block. It has the title block name is TB36 by 24. It's the same block on every sheet. This text is unique to this page, so you can change this on each different page, but the block is the same block. So when I change project information or the date on the stamp or anything for that matter in that title block, that now shows up on all of the sheets. So again, the sheet specific information is just going to be some text that's on that sheet, and then everything else in the title block is going to show up on each sheet. So when you plot a new set, make sure you have today's date on the set, and then when you plot, everyone's going to know that that whole set was plotted on that date. But if that sheet has not been revised, it's not going to have a revision date on it. So we might print a new set of plans and maybe only 2 sheets are changed, and so we'll put the revision stamp on those 2 sheets. That node right there goes right on the endpoint of that line. And so maybe this sheet has a revision date and another sheet has a revision date, but then anybody can look and see that the whole set was printed on a later date. And that's helpful because if you never change this date, let's say you had a set of plans back from July and then November you fixed 2 sheets and then you reissued the drawings. If the date on the seal was the old date and you said I want to keep that date old because I didn't change that sheet, then if someone looked at a new set or an old set, they'd have no idea if they were looking at the new set or old set, or if that sheet was changed, because all they have is an old date. But if the seal date is updated to the current date and then there's no revision date on it, they know that it's a current sheet because the seal date is recent, and then there's no revision block down at the bottom, so they know that sheet hasn't been revised, but they do have a recent issue of that sheet. Okay. For navigating the viewports, typically we're going to have these locked on the Properties tab. You can lock and unlock it. And if it's unlocked, when you go in there, you can change it like this. You can set the scale by typing Z, enter 1/30 XP or 1/50 XP. You can also set the scale by just clicking right here to a 40 scale or whatever. Whenever you get that scale the way you want, make sure to lock it back. Now I'm going to take this opportunity to show you another command, and I want to match this one that I just messed up back to this one. We want them all to be exactly the same. So if I click on this and I type VP match, it looked at all the viewports and it said 6 match. So if I go back here, now that looks exactly the same again. So I'm going to select this, I'm going to lock it back. And now if I double click in here and zoom, it's not going to get messed up. So make sure after you set up your title, your viewports, make sure you lock that title block so that it doesn't get moved. When you're setting up, another command you'll want when you're setting up new projects is to select the viewport and type VP rect for rectangle, and it's going to make a rectangle at the farthest extents of the boundary, which goes all the way out to here, because you can see this goes out all the way to the edge. Don't change this. This goes all the way to the top and bottom and left and right for a reason, and that's because the methodology by which the command matches, it basically picks the center point of this viewport and puts it at a particular place in model space, and then it applies a certain scale. So if you move this over left and right, it doesn't matter because this boundary here and this boundary here stayed the same. So feel free to move that, but just don't change that. Okay, so I typed VP rect. If we go in here, you'll see there's the rectangle, and then it's good to run that, and then you know where to put your aerial photograph, so that it just barely captures that viewport. You don't want it any bigger because it makes the file significantly larger, and your computer will run more slowly and be more likely to crash. The more data that's in there, the larger that the files are. So use that command VP rect to run that, and then put it on the right size. And then I always put that on the same layer as the aerial, and you can use CG to match those that layer. Okay, we went over VP lock, and we did VP rect. So VP lock is also helpful when you're changing the sheets. If I type this and type VP lock, it asks you left click to lock it or right click to unlock it. So if I right click it, all of these viewports on all the tabs that have the same layer are going to be unlocked. You can go over to this tab, unlocked. I'm going to put this one on viewport 2 to show you something. And this one will zoom out. So this one, it only matches viewports. VP match and VP lock only match viewports that have the same layer. So if you're doing a DOT plan or a close-up of something and you want it to look different, just grab this viewport, make a new layer. You can call it CA viewport CP1 or whatever, maybe the sheet name that you're using it on. And so then when we go back to this one, I'm going to mess that one up and go back here, and I'm going to use this to match it, VP match, and you can see this one is now fixed, but this one that we put on a different layer, it was not matched because it was on a different viewport. So remember, if you have different scales for some reason for a different use, make sure to put it on a different viewport layer. All right. Oh, and then let's go back to fix the locking item. I'm going to go ahead and put this back on the previous layer. Run VP match again to fix it, and then we'll run VP lock again now that we've made our edits that we wanted to make. VP lock. It asked me left click to lock, right click to unlock. I had unlocked it last time, now I want to lock them back. So I'm going to left click my mouse, and now that one's locked, and these other ones are locked also. And one other thing, a viewport is kind of a weird object. It's really two objects in one. It's a viewport and it's a polyline, and sometimes CAD will get confused and you click one and it only clicks the viewport or only clicks the polyline, and then things don't work right. So if you just get in the habit of selecting from right to left, then it grabs everything that your window crosses, and then it won't get confused. It'll always work. So that's just a good habit to get into. We talked about the freeze thaw with the SE lay. There's some hydrology layers. We really don't need to go through those, but I will just mention briefly civ lay, F for full. All of our specialty layers, we have some hydro layers, post, pre, water quality, storm, and then for surfaces and things we have 10 layers. So those are the two main categories of kind of specialty layers, and you can create more of these as needed. And that's it for that drawing. I think I have one other thing to show you, and that is this layer list. And so this is a comprehensive layer list. It's been a few years since we've updated it, but it hasn't needed to be updated too much. There are a few things that we would like to tweak, but they would just be very minor tweaks. Here you have the layer name. You can see these are categorized into groups based on their first layer. This gives you a little description of what that layer is. This shows you what it looks like when it's printed, and then this shows you the color information. So this is going to be index color 90, and it prints 100 with full size 1 pin set and 100 with full size 2 pin set. This is a property line layer. You can see this one prints extra thick. So over here is the size if it's different than 0.01. So that one's extra thick. The color is 172, and it also prints black with both pin sets. This FEMA layer, it prints kind of a dark gray with pin set 1 and a light gray with pin set 2. So this is a good cheat sheet you might want to print, hang up on your wall, and it'll let you get acquainted with the layers much more quickly. So that's a quick overview of our layering system and some of the commands that are used to navigate them, and a few tips and tricks to help navigate this system. It's comprehensive, but it works well. Gives us lots of flexibility. We can use the same system on all different projects, almost no matter what types of changes we need. So try to spend some time, get acquainted with it, and learn it so that we can all work efficiently together. Thanks so much.